Hello everyone. In this video we will discuss about the major histocompatibility complex. It's also known as HLA complex. Now going to what is major histocompatibility complex. They are the set of cell surface proteins which are essential for the immune system to recognize various foreign molecules, various pathogens. So what does MHC do? MHC binds to the antigens which are derived from these pathogens or the foreign molecules and display them on the cell surface, which gets further recognized by appropriate T cells. Also, MHC has a role in organ transplantation, various autoimmune diseases, and hypersensitivity reactions. Now, going to the genetics part, firstly, we know that the MHC complex is located on chromosome number 6, but based on the structure, the cellular distribution, the function, the MHC gene products, they are mainly classified into three groups. There is class 1 MHC, there is class 2 MHC, there is class 3 MHC. Here we will mainly discuss about class 1 and class 2 MHC. Firstly, the class 1 MHC molecules. They are mainly present on all nucleated cells of the body and the platelets. Here in this picture, we can easily see this is chromosome number 6 and there are gene loci present which are A, we can see C, this is B. Okay, the ABC, they are responsible for encoding class 1 MHC molecule, and this is a structure of class 1 MHC molecule. So in the class 1 MHC molecule, firstly it is a heterodimer. They have alpha chain, there is a beta 2 microglobulin chain. The alpha chain is further divided into alpha 1, alpha 2 and alpha 3 part. The peptide binding site, the antigen from the pathogen, gets presented over here. It binds over here between the alpha 1 and alpha 2 domain. However, the alpha 3 is responsible to bind various T lymphocytes. Okay, we will understand this one later. The main thing is the peptide binding site is formed between alpha 1 and alpha 2, and as you can see, this is class 1 MHC, this is the phospholipid bilayer. Therefore the class 1 MHC and also the class 2 MHC, they are both cell surface proteins. Now going to the we can see now going to the presentation of the antigen. Now the class 1 MHC molecule is mainly responsible to handle various cytosolic microbes. It handles the viruses, the tumor cells. These are mostly cytosolic. Okay, we'll take example of virus. The virus, which is a cytosolic microbe, it gets digested inside and it forms various peptides, and now these peptides, they bind to the class 1 MHC molecule and then they get presented on the cell surface. This is known as the antigen presentation. Here is the peptide from the virus. Now after it has presented it, the class 1 MHC molecule, it deals with the CD8 T lymphocyte. The CD8 T lymphocyte has a specific receptor which gets binded to the alpha 3 part of the class 1 MHC molecule, and therefore the CD8 T lymphocyte, they are also known as class 1 restricted T lymphocyte. This is also of advantage because the CD8 T lymphocytes, they are also known as cytotoxic T lymphocytes, and the cytotoxic T lymphocytes, when they bind with class 1 MHC molecule, they will directly kill the target, and the virus and the tumor cells, they are mostly killed by this mechanism. So it's also helpful. Going to the class 2 MHC. Now the class 2 MHC, they are mainly present on cells such as macrophages, the B lymphocytes, the dendritic cells, and they also deal with the antigens which are derived from the extracellular microbes and the soluble proteins. Okay, so they do not deal with the cytosolic microbes, they deal with the extracellular microbes. Now going to the genetic part. So it is encoded by The loci dp, dq, and dr, they encode class 2 MHC molecule. Now going to the structure of MHC class 2. So it is also a heterodimer. It has alpha chain, it has a beta chain. Now the alpha chain is further divided into alpha 1 and alpha 2, and beta chain is similarly divided into beta 1 and beta 2. The peptide binding site is between alpha 1 and beta 1. Here we can see this is a peptide which binds over here. However, the beta chain, beta 2 part, deals with the T lymphocytes. Now going to the presentation, how the antigen is processed in case of class 2 MHC molecule. So here we can see this is an extracellular microbe. It is being endocytosed and it is present in a vesicle. Now the class 1 MHC molecule will join the vesicle and it will be presented on the cell surface. Okay, now the class 2 MHC molecule, it deals with the CD4 T lymphocyte, because the CD4 T lymphocyte has a receptor which binds to the beta 2 part of the class 2 MHC. And likewise, CD4 cells are also known as class 2 restricted proteins, class 2 restricted T lymphocytes. Now lastly, going to the importance of MHC molecule. The MHC molecule is mainly responsible to combat various infections and also in organ transplantation. Firstly, we'll discuss about the organ transplantation. We know that mostly no two individuals, they will express same MHC molecule unless and until they are identical twins. And the grafts which will be exchanged between these individuals, they are recognized as foreign and they will be attacked by the immune system. So nowadays HLA matching is done prior to the organ transplantation, and mostly in the cases of renal transplants, bone marrow transplants, we match for various loci like HLA A, B, DR. But few grafts like corneal grafts, they are not influenced by HLA matching because they are comparatively avascular. But unless and until we are transplanting them on the inflamed bed, then HLA matching will be required in that case also. Secondly, in infections, we know that the CD8 T lymphocyte, it has a selective, we have seen it has selectiveness for the class 1 MHC, which will react against the cytoplasmic microbe, and the class 2 MHC has selection for the macrophages, the CD4 cell, which will further react against the extracellular microbe. So by segregating the antigens, the MHC molecule, they ensure that the correct immune response is being mounted against the different microbes. Also, it has a role in hypersensitivity reaction, because there are few individuals that have they can process the pollen, the peptide which is derived from any pollen, they can present it, and when these individuals they can present it, the class 2 molecules can bind to that antigen and can pose a allergic reaction. So few people will have a reaction against the pollen and few will have no reaction against the pollen. Lastly, there are few diseases which are associated with the HLA alleles, and the example of those are like ankylosing spondylitis, it's associated with HLA B27. Also type 1 diabetes, it is associated with DR3. Rheumatoid arthritis, it is associated with DR4. These are the few diseases which have a HLA association. Now this was all about the HLA. We mainly discussed about the classes of MHC. If you like this video, do like, share and subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching this video.